Most people believe that death is the end, a final silence, a fading breath, and then nothing. But what if death is not the end, but a door? And what happens in the first 7 days is more real than anything you've ever lived. What if I told you that in the very first moments after your last breath, your soul begins to see with a clarity it never had in life? Not with the eyes of the body, but with the vision of eternity. Where light speaks, silence echoes, and truth no longer hides. This is not fiction. Across cultures, times, and testimonies, there is a pattern, a spiritual sequence that unfolds in the invisible right after we leave this world. If you've ever lost someone, if you fear the unknown, or if you carry that silent question, what comes next? Then this message is for you. Welcome to Bible Stories and Mysteries. Here, we uncover the truths the soul remembers, even when the world forgets. The room grows silent, but heaven leans in. There is a moment, thinner than breath, quieter than silence, when the soul begins to slip. Not outward, but inward. Not away, but deeper. It is not like falling asleep. It is not like waking. It is the moment the body releases what it never owned. A soul longing for return. The eyes close, yet something opens. And in that sacred second, time forgets itself, and eternity begins to speak. The final heartbeat is not an end, it is a veil torn. Many imagine death as a door slammed shut, but the saints spoke of it as a curtain drawn gently aside. You do not vanish in that moment. You remember what the world taught you to forget, that you are more than dust. And for the first time, the noise of this world grows silent. Yet something else grows louder: stillness, presence, awareness. A voice you always carried now begins to sing. The soul does not flee. It hovers. It looks back. It listens. It pauses in wonder. It does not yet know what it has become, but it knows something has changed. There is a lightness, a strange peace, as if gravity itself lets go. The skin, the lungs, the heartbeat, they were never you. Now you know. The body is still, but you are not. And then, the separation. It is not violent. It is not cold. It feels like stepping out of a garment you've worn too long. There is confusion. Yes. Where am I? Am I still here? But there is also clarity, piercing and pure. You feel yourself alive, more alive than you've ever been. Not because your heart beats, but because your spirit remembers. The separation is not from life, but from illusion. Heaven doesn't rush. It waits. The soul is tender now, like a newborn in reverse. It begins to feel without fingers, hear without ears, see without eyes. What once was distant is now within, and what once seemed solid begins to vanish. You sense presence, though no one speaks. You sense direction, though no one points. And yet, you are not afraid. The moment of death is not the end of life. It is the beginning of truth. The body lies quiet, but the soul stirs, and something sacred begins to move. Welcome to the first breath, after the last. You rise, but you have not moved. Below you lies something still, pale, familiar, and foreign. You know it. You lived in it. It carried you, bore you, aged with you. But now, it is no longer you. This is the mirror moment, the unthinkable realized. Your eyes no longer blink, yet you see. Your chest no longer rises, yet you exist. The soul floats, but not like a wind-blown leaf. It hovers with purpose, held, not lost. There is no weight, no gravity, only attention, and all attention is drawn to that. The body, your former name, your borrowed tent, lies quiet. For a brief eternity you ask, am I dead? And then, but I am still me. This is the first grief, not of others, but of the self. You grieve the life you thought was everything. you feel a strange ache, not pain but tenderness, for the vessel you once wore. It feels like visiting your childhood home, empty. The walls are there, but the laughter is gone. You want to touch it. You try, but your hand is light and it passes through. This is the paradox. You've never been so alive, and yet the world no longer sees you. You shout, or try to, but no sound emerges. You reach, but the living do not feel. You are near, but apart, present, but unseen. And for the first time you realize you are spirit. You always were. There is no horror, only wonder, no fire, no fear, just unfolding. You begin to see not only your body, but how you treated it. You remember moments you dishonored it, hated it, idolized it. Now you see it was never yours to keep, only to steward. And your soul gives thanks, even as it lets go. Then something strange happens. You feel the room, not just see it. You sense sadness, love, regret as all at once. You are not a ghost, you are not lost, but you are no longer bound. The soul begins to ascend, not upward but inward, towards something calling without voice. This is the holy bewilderment. You are you, but more. The mirror no longer holds your face, because you've become the reflection of something eternal. It is a strange in-between. You have left the body, yet it has not fully left you. The lungs no longer breathe, but you remember breath. You feel warmth, sensation, even a heartbeat, not in your chest, but in memory, in echo, in soul. The soul carries the imprint of the flesh. Like dew remembers the night. And for a little while the spirit still believes it is made of skin. This is the transition zone, the twilight of the soul's awakening, where one foot still lingers in the world, and the other begins to step beyond. Some spirits feel pain, though there are no nerves. Others feel hunger, thirst, longing, not of the body, but of the heart. It is not torment, it is recognition. You are remembering what it means to feel without form, and that memory lingers like a final scent. There are souls that linger too long here, tied not by chains, but by attachments, unfinished words, broken vows, fear of release. These things cling, not to the soul, but to its story, and the spirit feels it must stay, though heaven gently pulls. Some think they are dreaming, others think they are still alive. The veil is so thin, they forget they've already crossed. Then comes the sacred conversation, not in words, but in knowing. The soul begins to speak to the body. One last time, a silent goodbye, a sacred gratitude. I forgive you for aging. Thank you for dancing. I release you now, and I remember what I am. The Church Fathers spoke of this moment as psychostasia, the weighing of the soul. But here, no judgment falls, only recognition. The soul begins to feel light or heavy, not because of deeds, but because of what still binds. Love lifts, regret weighs, forgiveness dissolves the burden, and slowly the soul begins to rise, not forced, but invited. Yet even as it ascends, the soul remembers breath, touch, and heartbeat. It carries those echoes like petals, soft reminders of earth. And perhaps that is the mercy of God, that even in departure, the soul does not forget where it loved. This is the moment of holy confusion, where flesh fades, but memory glows, where silence speaks and longing listens, and the soul begins to ask, what waits beyond the veil of touch? The eyes no longer open, but the soul begins to see, not as before, not in colors or contours, but in knowing, in presence, in light that reveals without shape. What once was hidden behind the veil of flesh now stands fully revealed. The air itself feels alive. Time feels like breath, expanding and collapsing. You no longer look at things, you know them, and what you know knows you in return. At first, it overwhelms. There is no ceiling, no floor, only layers of presence. You perceive emotion as form, intention as vibration. Every thought becomes visible, like fragrance taking shape. You feel the memory of a child's embrace, and it appears beside you. You sense regret, and a shadow passes. Nothing is hidden in this dimension, not even yourself. You begin to see presences that were once near, but unnoticed. Messengers, watchers, holy ones, neither male nor female, not winged, not robed, but aware. Their gaze does not judge, it recognizes. They do not speak, yet you understand. And their presence brings the strangest comfort, that you were never, ever alone. Here, the spiritual realm is not somewhere else. It was always here. Only your eyes were veiled. You realize now that the world you left was only one layer, and beneath it, around it, above it, was a realm teeming with light, intention, and sacred design. You were walking through mystery every day, but did not see it. Now, the mystery sees you. Emotions are places, thoughts are doors, and truth has a taste. You begin to sense not only beings but movements, currents of prayer, waves of sorrow, echoes of praise. You feel songs being sung in cathedrals miles away. You hear the cry of someone who remembers you, and every whisper of love lifts you, as if on wings of silence. This is not hallucination, this is awakening. The spiritual realm is not illusion, it is foundation. Your soul trembles, not in fear, but in awe. You see your own intentions, raw and luminous. You recognize how heaven sees you, not for what you've done, but for who you truly are. Beneath every name, every mask, and it brings you to holy stillness. You are no longer a guest in this place. You are a returning citizen. And the soul begins to remember the language of eternity. The scenery unfolds not with steps, but with surrender. You are not walking forward. You are being drawn, not by force, but by remembrance. The soul doesn't ask, "Where am I?" It begins to ask, "What is this within me?" And the answer comes not in words, but in vision. You begin to see, not as the world sees, but as heaven dreams. And every soul sees something different. Some enter into gardens so alive they breathe. Colors that never existed on earth bloom beneath a sky that doesn't move, but sings. There are places that look like rooms, but they pulse with light and memory. Others pass through veils of mist, silver, fragrant, intelligent. The blind on earth see with joy. The weary find themselves lifted. Not every soul sees heaven, but every soul sees truth. For in this realm, you are surrounded by your own becoming. The landscapes reflect not where you've been, but who you are. For some, it feels like home, like returning to a forgotten embrace. For others, it is strange, a realm too holy for the self they carried. There are rivers that whisper your name, mountains that radiate the weight of choices, valleys that hold the tears you never cried, and each soul walks through the geography of its own unfolding. Is it real, or is it symbol? Yes, it is both. Just as a dream can be more true than a waking hour, this spiritual terrain holds meaning deeper than matter. These are not mere images, they are revelations. Each tree, each path, each rising light is a message. Some are invitations, others are warnings. All of them are mirrors of the eternal. You may meet no one, and yet feel utterly known. You may see no structures, and yet feel held in sacred architecture. The soul begins to feel that heaven is not a place you go, but a realm that begins to open within. This landscape is alive, not because it moves, but because it remembers. Here, beauty is not decoration, it is language. And you understand it, not with your mind, but your being. There is no fear here, only unveiling. And the more you remember who you truly are, the more the world around you takes shape. Because the spiritual realm is not separate from you. It is the part of you that never forgot God. You are not alone. you never were. Even before you ask, they begin to appear. Not summoned by need, but drawn by recognition. Some come in silence. Others come like light falling on water, sudden, soft, undeniable. You do not see their faces, yet you know them. They do not speak, yet you hear them. There is no fear, only a feeling more ancient than memory. You are known. First, the angels. They are not the winged figures of paintings. They are presence itself, radiant with stillness, weightless with glory. They carry peace like fire, not burning, but purifying. Some stand watchful, tall, robed in light that bends time. Others draw near, as if guarding your soul's next breath. You feel no judgment, only truth, and in their gaze, nothing in you remains hidden. Then come those you loved. They appear not because you called, but because they never stopped walking beside you. A mother's eyes, a grandfather's laugh, the child you lost too soon. They do not speak of the past, and they radiate forgiveness. They do not explain the mysteries. They are the mystery. Their touch is light without pressure. Their joy, fuller than anything you remember. They are not back. They were never gone. But not all who come are family. Some are strangers, yet feel familiar. Guides, saints, silent ones, souls assigned not by blood, but by eternity. You feel their wisdom before they move. They do not teach, they remind of who you were, of who you forgot to be. Some walk ahead, others walk beside. But all walk with one purpose, to lead you to the presence. And the most astonishing feeling in this moment, there is no hiding, and yet no shame. These beings do not love you for your perfection. They love you for your becoming. They do not look at your wounds and wince. They recognize the story. In their presence, the soul lets go of its masks. Because here, finally, you are seen as God sees. No one asks you questions. No one hurries your steps. They wait with a patience that humbles the stars, and their silence speaks the deepest truth. The journey is yours, but you were never meant to walk alone. In their eyes you see heaven's memory of you, and in that memory the soul begins to heal. It begins like a breath inward, silent, sudden, all-encompassing. You do not walk toward it. It draws you. A tunnel, yes, but not of stone or space. It is a passage made of memory and mercy, a spiral of light that does not blind but unveils. Time collapses inside it. Distance ceases to exist, and every part of your soul leans forward as if hearing its true name. You've heard of it before, in stories, in visions, in whispers from the dying. A tunnel, a corridor, a veil. But no story prepares you for its truth. It is not made of matter, but meaning. You feel drawn not by curiosity, but by belonging, as if every sorrow, every question, every love unfinished finds its answer just beyond. And then, the light. It is not at the end, it is through the tunnel. It pulses like a living heart. It watches without eyes. It welcomes without needing to move. You do not see a figure, a throne, a face, but you feel the presence of all presence. It knows you, not as others knew you, but as the sea knows the drop that returns. The light does not ask you to come. It invites without words. It does not demand worship. It elicits surrender, not by power, but by love so total, the soul dissolves its resistance. All shame burns away, not with pain, but with truth. You remember every time you denied love, and yet the light embraces you still. Some say they see pastures, others say they hear music, but the most profound testimony is this: you feel fully known and not condemned. You feel all of your life, the joy, the regret, the forgotten kindness, all at once, in the presence of this unspeakable light. And it is not a force, it is a person, the one whose voice called the stars. This is not a hallway to judgment, it is the embrace of your origin. Here the soul is not measured by achievements, but by how deeply it loved and allowed itself to be loved. The tunnel does not lead to a courtroom, it leads home, and yet, for some, this light is too bright. Not because it wounds, but because it reveals, and the soul must choose to step through or to turn back. It does not come as a judgment, but as a remembering. There is no courtroom, no gavel, no accuser, only a mirror, alive, luminous, and eternal. You do not watch your life as if on a screen. You feel it, every word, every silence, every act of kindness, and every time you turned away, not through shame, but through truth. The soul begins to see as God sees. You witness your childhood, not as memories, but as living moments full of color and consequence. You see every person you touched, for good or for grief. Their hearts are open before you, and you feel what they felt, because of you. Not as punishment, but as awakening. Your life was never yours alone. There are no edits in this review. The hidden is revealed. The forgotten is found. You see what you ignored. You remember what you buried. The prayers you whispered in pain, you hear them again. The stranger you helped without knowing, you see the ripple. The anger you carried like armor, you feel its wound in others. And the love you withheld, you now long to give. Some cry in this moment, though there are no tears. The soul trembles not from fear, but from the weight of unfulfilled love. You realize what truly mattered was never what the world praised. The moments heaven remembers are not the great, but the good. A hand held, a lie resisted, a prayer offered in secret. These shine brighter than crowns, because love is the only thing that remains. And yet, you are not alone in this review. The present stands beside you, not condemning, but guiding. You sense the mercy behind the memory. The light shows you and loves you still. The moments you failed are not erased, but transformed. Every wound becomes an opening. Every regret becomes a call to deeper surrender. In this mirror, you see not only your past, but your potential, who you were meant to become, what you were afraid to offer, and still the invitation remains. This is the holiest moment, when the soul sees itself fully and still hears the whisper, "You are mine." Not all departures are the same. Some souls leave as if exhaling the last note of a hymn. Others depart clinging to time, to body, to unfinished stories. And what you carry in that final breath echoes into the journey beyond. The soul is not judged by the moment of death, but the state in which it arrives. Peace opens the veil, fear holds it shut, love lifts, resistance delays. There are those who died with forgiveness on their lips, and their ascent is weightless. Even in suffering, they released. Even in pain, they trusted. And so the passage opens gently, like dawn spreading through shadow. But others fought the inevitable. Their soul was ready, but their spirit resisted. When a person dies in chaos, violence, bitterness, despair, that moment shapes the soul's threshold, not as punishment, but as imprint. The confusion lingers, the last thoughts echo. They look around and do not understand where they are. The body is gone, but the fear remains. And the soul must be gently untangled from the moment it refused to surrender. Some refuse to believe they've died. They wander the first veil, not trapped but tethered. They revisit memories, cling to rooms, stand beside loved ones, waiting for someone to answer the unspoken cry, "Am I still here?" And it is mercy, not wrath, that meets them. Guides arrive, prayers from the living call like distant bells. There is also another mystery, the one who dies in peace, but for others leaves turmoil. Their death was calm, but the grief left behind clings like mist, and so their journey pauses, not for themselves, but for love. Some wait, until the ones they left behind find healing, because heaven is not hurried, love is not rushed. The Church has long taught, we die as we live. But deeper still is this. We enter eternity with the truth of our last surrender. What we let go of sets us free. What we clutch follows us. And yet, every soul is offered the same light, because no death is beyond redemption. In the end, the way you die only reveals what your soul was ready to meet. And still, the door remains open. Some do not stay. They cross the threshold. They see the light. They are held in the arms of truth, and yet they are sent back, not cast out, but gently returned. Not because they weren't ready, but because something remained unfinished. It is not the soul that chooses to return. It is heaven that calls and then releases. The soul sees the fullness of what it could become, the ripple of its life unfinished, the prayers yet to be answered through its presence. And so it returns, not in despair, but in divine obedience. Those who return often weep, not from sorrow, but from longing. They have tasted eternity, and now must walk again in shadow. They remember light, too pure for language, eyes that saw them without judgment, songs that healed without melody. And yet they awaken in a hospital bed, a broken body, a silent room, changed forever and burdened with holy memory. Why are they sent back? To forgive what no one else could, to love those who've forgotten God, to speak what the world refuses to hear. They become bridges between breath and spirit, between earth and the world just beyond it. Their eyes carry fire, their voice carries silence, and their presence carries a question no one dares ask. What did you see when you left? Not all who die return. Many stay, embraced in glory, drawn into union, but some are marked for mission. Their return is not a reward, it is a calling, to live now as one who has already died, to walk among the living with the memory of light. And for those who remain behind, the question becomes sacred. If this is all true, how should I live now? What must I let go of? Who must I forgive? What in me must die so my soul can awaken before the final breath? The door is still open. You are still breathing. That means your mission remains. If your spirit was stirred, if something sacred moved in your soul today, comment, "I remember the light," and subscribe to Bible Stories and Mysteries, where truth is not taught, but revealed. Your journey has just begun.